I'm very glad to have the chance to speak at this event because what we're launching today is something that I think is quite important. We are, as a government, committed to being digital by default, so I feel obliged to deliver my speech from my iPad. So if it suddenly turns horizontal while I'm speaking, you know what's happened. We ignore the cyber threat at our peril. And this applies not just to government, clearly it applies to everyone, industry, business, families, households. 93% of large corporations and 3/4 of smaller businesses are believed, estimated to have had a cybersecurity breach in the past year. Government blocks on average over 33,000 malicious emails every month. And a successful attack can have huge consequences. We know of one company that lost 100 gigabytes of data in a single incident. That's roughly a 20 million page Word document. It's a lot. Last year, a 9-day attack by the hacker group Anonymous caused PayPal to lose more than £3.5 million, and the threat is growing. I spoke on cybersecurity in December, but since then, there have been more high-profile attacks. Just over a week ago, computer networks running 3 major South Korean banks and the country's 2 largest broadcasters were paralyzed in cyber attacks. Last month, the New York Times told how they came under a 4-month-long assault from attackers breaking into their computers and mining their databases. Cybersecurity is, unsurprisingly, topping the policy agenda. President Obama recently set out a new plan to protect the United States' critical infrastructure against cyber attacks. Last month, the EU proposed cybercrime reporting rules as part of its new cybersecurity strategy, and we'll need to consider that very carefully here in the UK. This is a high-stakes, fast-paced global battleground. And here in the UK, our responses have to be fast and flexible and fleet of foot. We can't afford to sit back because there is, none of you need reminding, a lot at stake. The web is vital to our way of life, vital for our economy. The UK's internet ecosystem is now worth £82 billion a year and rising. We're here today because all of us are invested in the success of the internet. If we want to go on enjoying the benefits of the cyberspace, of the internet, as we all do, then we need to team up to fight the common enemies. And that's what this new Cybersecurity Information Sharing Partnership, CISP, is all about. It's about government and business working closely together to build a comprehensive picture of the threat and then coming up with the best answers. I know business played an absolutely crucial role in designing this partnership so that it would work for business, and I'm delighted that so many companies are already signed up to it. Now we have to make it work, and that'll hinge on every single of the business partners continuing to play an active role. We're committed in government to playing our part. We already committed £650 million in the tightest financial settlement the government has seen for decades. We increased our spending on cybersecurity to create a transformative national cybersecurity program to bolster Britain's cyber defences. Just over a year ago, I published our cross-government cybersecurity strategy. It set out how we'll build a more trusted and resilient cyberspace. In December, I published a report setting out the progress against those key objectives. But there's a long way to go. This is the early stages, and we can't fight the battle alone. That we absolutely know. The private sector is the largest economic victim of cybercrime, and it's the most important line of defense against cyber criminals. In this last year, we've worked very closely with industry to improve our understanding of the threat and to raise awareness. For example, we launched a cybersecurity guidance for business document for chief executives, which sets out how board members and senior executives should safeguard their most valuable assets, such as personal data, online services, and intellectual property. And this really matters. Sir Ian Lobban, the director of GCHQ, estimates that 80% of attacks could be thwarted just by basic security measures, basic hygiene, updating software, getting the patches. Actually, none of this is fantastically complicated, but far too many businesses, as well as far too many individuals, haven't taken the basic steps to protect what they own. We're also working closely with the private sector and with the standards bodies to support the development of industry-led organizational standards to ensure that there's clarity about what good practice looks like for an organization that's actively trying to manage its cyber risk. This will not only give companies and businesses clear steps to follow in managing their cyber risk, it'll also give customers and investors and others in their supply chain, because this is not just about protecting your own systems, whether an indicator of whether the company, the business, is taking this risk seriously. And we shouldn't forget that cybersecurity also presents an opportunity for companies with this growth in demand, both in the UK and globally. And this is something where Britain is good. We are good at this stuff, and we need to foster that and support it. So there's an export opportunity here for vibrant and innovative cybersecurity services. Last week, the first meeting of the Cyber Growth Partnership was held, where business and government came together to agree how best to support the growth of this industry by boosting sales both domestically and overseas. We're in a stronger position as a result of all of these efforts, but there is absolutely no room for any flicker of complacency. It's abundantly clear to anyone who works in cybersecurity that no one has anything like complete visibility on the scale of the problem. Cyberspace is simply too vast for any organization, whether it's in the public arena or the private space, to have sight on everything that's going on. But we know that getting the best picture possible is key to us staying one step ahead of the threat. We started in Britain to tackle this issue 2 years ago. The Prime Minister held an event at Number 10 for business senior executives to underline the benefits of a real and meaningful partnership between business and government. Our proposal was this: by building a community of public and private partners, we could pool our information on cyber threats and increase our visibility for mutual benefit. The result of that was a pilot, Project Auburn. That was to explore how we could share information on current threats and strategies, which also included information from the intelligence agencies. Around 80 companies from different sectors signed up to the pilot, and I know many of them are represented in this room here today. It generated some notable success stories, with firms in different sectors of business sharing important information. For example, a firm detecting reconnaissance activity against its network was able to share details of that nascent attack with its peers, who were then able to protect themselves from the threat before it caused damage. As a result, we kept the scheme going. We increased the number of business partners to around 160, and that provided important support to some key sectors such as transport during the Olympics, when we were ever alert to this threat. But there was clearly scope to take this initiative for even further. And over the last 9 months, business and government have been designing together a new and improved structure that would put cyber information sharing on a permanent footing. And that's the new Cybersecurity Information Sharing Partnership, CISP, that we're launching today. It'll give government and business a far richer, more immediate, more real-time intelligence picture of the cyber threat. For the first time, a new secure, virtual, collaborative environment will allow government, including the Security Service, GCHQ, and the new National Crime Agency, together with business partners, to exchange information on the threats and the vulnerabilities as they're identified. For the first time, this team of experts, known as the Fusion Cell, made up of analysts from business and the law enforcement and intelligence communities, will draw together a single intelligence picture of cyber threats facing the UK, and this will be done for the benefit of all of the partners. It'll be the first time such a diverse set of skills and experience has been brought together in one location, and it will mean businesses will have access to the best strategies for preventing the kind of attacks that cost business so much time and so much money. CISP will initially remain targeted at those private sector organizations that are at the greatest risk from cyber threat and are already partnered with the Centre for the Protection of National Infrastructure. But ultimately, and not there very ultimately, as soon as we can, we want to extend the benefits as widely as possible. We're already in the process of setting up further pilots beyond the critical national infrastructure, including with SMEs. Interested organizations can register their interest in this through the CISP website. We know that CISP has huge potential to add value to all who participate, but I can't stress enough that this service will be very much what its partners make of it. There's nothing compulsory about it. It's voluntary. It'll be up to all members to share information so that others can benefit, knowing that actually the whole will be hugely more than the sum of its parts. Companies will be free to choose the level of detail they provide, be able to choose how widely that information will be shared. The more volume, the more traffic there is, the more useful it will be to all of the partners. The more information each member makes available to the community, the richer our collective knowledge. We've come a long way since that meeting in number 10 in 2010. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of those in business who've volunteered resources at their own cost to make this initiative work. This kind of working really is the future. It's government and business working hand in hand to fight a common threat. Some have suggested a more regulated approach would be the way to go, but our experience here shows that a voluntary arrangement based on trust and shared interests can work and can work better. There's a growing realization that it's only by working together, not limited by the boundaries of commercial interests, that we can ensure that the UK can continue to realize the benefits of a vibrant, open, and that's really important, and safe online environment. It's a shared challenge, and we all share a responsibility to meet it. Today's launch is a big step forward. It's a really big step forward. Now we need to keep the momentum building. Thank you very much.